The following is a World-Class Bullshitters exclusive.
Obi-Wan is the gift that keeps on giving. The internet changed the way movies are made and marketed because of the ability to receive fan feedback almost instantly. It's a double-edged sword because when it works, it really works, but when it doesn't, we'll call it Obi-Wan. Today's video is going to touch on this not-so-new phenomenon of fans not liking something, then being called everything in the book to shut them up. If you've been around since Star Wars The Last Jedi, then what we're about to talk about is from Chapter 5, page 98 of the Disney Playbook. It reads, "When fans don't like a change made to a Disney product, create a narrative that will make them ashamed to speak against the newest addition to the Disney family." It sounds crazy because it is. It's commonplace now, but in 2017, it was a shock to be called a Russian bot for not giving The Last Jedi a sterling score on Rotten Tomatoes. There was even bad scientific research about it, and now it's happening again. Sort of. Obi-Wan is the victim of review bombing, allegedly. Over the weekend, it was brought to my attention that there was some fudging of the numbers in regard to the Metacritic score for Obi-Wan, but it goes beyond Metacritic. Before we get to that, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more excellent content, and be sure to check out WokeBustersComic.com after you're done today with the video to support independent artists. When I first caught wind of this story, Obi-Wan sat at a 75% from critics and a 3.5 from fans. Big difference. But are you surprised? Fans are the worst. They ruin everything. If it wasn't for them, Disney could do whatever they want to Star Wars. They'd also have no one to sell it to. Let's not forget that last part. There's a narrative being crafted here, but longtime Star Wars fans shouldn't be surprised by what's happening here. What's happening here? Well, let's take a look. Lucasfilm is now halfway through its first and possibly only season of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney+, bringing a thrilling story that fills in the gaps between the original trilogy and the prequels in the Skywalker saga. However, that run on Disney Plus has come with more than just solid reviews, as the franchise once again has to deal with fans voicing some not-so-flattering opinions about the show's cast. This comes most prominently with Moses Ingram, who stars as the dark side Force-using Inquisitor Reva, known as the Third Sister. New actors in Star Wars are often prone to ridicule. Alden Ehrenreich, Kelly Marie Tran, and Daisy Ridley are a few recent Galactic members that have faced social media backlash. Since Obi-Wan premiered on Disney Plus on May 27th, Ingram has been the subject of racist backlash from various sects of the fandom. Ingram, leading man Ewan McGregor, and the official Star Wars social media accounts have all reacted to the hateful outpouring from fans. Last week, Obi-Wan Kenobi opened at a 71% audience score via Rotten Tomatoes. Those numbers have swiftly sank over the past week to a 57%, following racism-oriented controversy over Star Wars' official response to social media sent towards Moses Ingram. Meanwhile, the critic score of the series has maintained a fresh rating with little fluctuation, currently sitting at 87% approval. This is not the first time a Disney project has been a subject of review bombing. Moon Knight was met with a negative 1-star review on IMDb due to the premiere's acknowledgement of the Armenian genocide. Eternals was hit by review bombs due to its inclusion of a gay kiss and the LGBTQIA representation in the film. Wait, that's why people gave it a bad score? I just thought it sucked. I didn't care about the other stuff. They just made a fucking terrible movie. But hey, who am I? Just the guy that regrettably paid to see it and has an opinion on it. Sorry, Disney. It blew. It's impossible to avoid review bombers if enough people want to have their voices heard. The issue with review bombing is that making the film or series look bad is often for reasons outside of the storytelling and filmmaking. Well, article? In this case, I think Obi-Wan deserves that because it's filmmaking, it's TV show making, whatever you want to call it, it's not as well done as people want to give it credit for. Ooh, it's Star Wars, it's great. No, it's Disney Star Wars. We've been here before. We've also been called these things before. Are you surprised? The main negative effect of this behavior is simple. The fact that without context, it looks like the audiences are not enjoying the latest Star Wars show with a rotten rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Well, I'll say it again, that's a reflection of the show's quality. Not everyone's gonna like everything. Does everybody like The Wizard of Oz? Does everybody like Star Wars? Does everybody like Citizen Kane? No, even things that are considered the greatest of the great have detractors. It's called life. There's this crazy thing companies like to push, where you have to like everything, everywhere, all at once. If you have even the faintest negative thought, you're not a real fan, and you'll be taken out back and given the old Yeller treatment. Disney loves to play the old Yeller defense. Keeping yourself insulated from criticism is suspect. Nothing is perfect, but trying to keep up the facade that everything from Disney Star Wars is perfect is ridiculous. If all was well, these things wouldn't happen. Fans would actually enjoy these shows. In reality, the reaction is mixed, but forcing fans to praise it or shut up hurts anyone's ability to actually discuss the show honestly, making it a bad user experience. Do you believe in magic? Because unless that's how the Force works, magic is the only explanation for what happened on the Metacritic score. Kenobi jumped from 3.5 user score to an 8.1. The show went from 40 positive reviews to 905 positive reviews. Meanwhile, the negative reviews went from 111 to 185. A lot of people really like Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? There's no way that this isn't organic. If people don't like Obi-Wan, what's on the line? Money. That's the only thing Disney actually gives a shit about. A few years back, the same thing happened with The Last Jedi. Back then, fans who didn't like the film had their voices silenced by Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. The fans were told that it was all well and good and that it was Russian bots who disliked The Last Jedi. There was even academic, and I'm using the word ever so lightly here, research to explain the phenomenon. Turns out, it was all bullshit. The internet has been aflame this week over a study suggesting Russian trolls and bots have been deployed as part of a campaign to bring down one of the biggest movies in the Star Wars franchise. Russian trolls stoked Star Wars The Last Jedi fan Outrage studied finds blared Market Watch on Monday night, referring to the 2017 action hit that has some commentators criticized for a liberal and feminist agenda. Star Wars, Russian bots, and trolls behind The Last Jedi abuse finds study, noted Sky News. Half of the Star Wars The Last Jedi backlash was Russian bots and trolls, said The Verge. The headline was later changed. A few journalists even wondered whether someone should be held accountable for the lost worldwide sales of the Lost Jedi tickets. If this knocked $50 to $100 million off the film's global box office, it's a pretty huge act of corporate espionage against Disney, tweeted the editor of The Hollywood Reporter. The possibility, raised in a study by a researcher affiliated with the Center for Digital Future at University of Southern California, was tantalizing. It called to mind the alleged North Korean hack of Sony Pictures over the comedy The Interview in 2014, a hack that radically altered the movie's release plan. But it turns out Russian bots generated no notable activity around The Last Jedi. The box office was certainly not affected by any online activity, and no, even the negative tweets were just likely to come from real fans who happen to dislike the movie artistically as from alt-right figures looking to target its alleged politics. How do we know this? The author of the study says so. I tried really hard to be careful how I framed this. There's no evidence Russia did anything unusual or meaningful, Morton Bay, who authored the paper, told The Post in an interview. Star Wars The Last Jedi, directed by Rian Johnson, came out last Christmas to smashing box office results with more than $600 million in the United States and $1.3 billion worldwide. The movie received mostly good reviews, but it was the subject of online criticism that it carried a left-wing agenda. Following this news coverage closely, Bay decided to investigate. A Danish-American academic who lives in Los Angeles, Bay had just finished his doctoral thesis at the University of California at Los Angeles about social media regulation in countries around the world. He wanted a new project before starting his new job, which would end up being at USC's Center for Digital Future. Examining this issue via tweets directed at Johnson over a 7-month period that followed the movie's release seemed like a good way to go. After all, that approach offered a rich trove, especially given the more public nature of Twitter compared to other platforms. Bay soon found that such original tweets, that's it, not retweets, were initiated by a total of 967 accounts. He began analyzing them. Only about 1/5 of the accounts, 206, had tweeted something negative. Of those, Bay found that only half, 105, contained political and social content of any kind. The remaining half were criticizing the film on purely aesthetic grounds. And of those 105 tweets, how many of those were suspected of being Russian bots? Exactly 16. Yes, 16 of the 967 accounts he analyzed. Less than 2% were even potentially from such sources. In fact, the total number of bots, Russian or otherwise, as opposed to trolls and sock puppets which are run by real people, was 4%. That's negligible, lower than the average across much of Twitter, Bay said. Incidentally, even if the 16 can't be definitely demonstrated as coming from Russia, Bay based such findings on traits associated with known Russian bots from political spheres, including the format of the handle and the nature of the profile information. The paper will appear in an issue this fall of the online journal First Monday. He says it's been peer-reviewed. Bay is a little more eager to say that there was right-wing political maneuvering at work. Basically that those 105 tweets came from accounts that didn't seem interested in the franchise and just wanted to hurl attacks on the movie's supposedly left-wing politics. I use the term deliberate instead of organized or coordinated because I think very few of them were coordinated, he said, but there were clear signs of operating, trying to take organic discussions and turn it into something where they could make their political point. Double standard. Even here, though there is room to debate what operative means, and in any event, 10% of people politicizing an issue on Twitter may not be entirely shocking to anyone who spends time on Twitter. Johnson, perhaps understandably given on how he sat on the receiving end of these tweets, was keen to focus on the 10% of negative political tweets. What does the top line describe and consistent with the experience online? He tweeted, adding, "This is not about fans liking or not liking a movie. This is specifically about the virulent strain of online harassment." None of this, incidentally, addresses the movie's infamously low Rotten Tomatoes audience score. The film star, Kelly Marie Tran, also famously left Instagram after a pattern of what she described as intensely painful harassment. So do you see why I brought this to your attention? This is the same shit with Obi-Wan right now. If Obi-Wan gets a bad score, then it looks like a bad show and people won't subscribe to Disney+. This is all to protect the golden goose and to look good, publicly. If Lucasfilm needs to figure out what's up with Obi-Wan, then they need to look no further than the mirror, because they themselves are their own worst enemies. They have all the power and all the responsibility, not the fans. If fans don't like something, it might mean that it's bad. I've watched Obi-Wan and it's not getting an 8 from me. I'd give the show an honest 5.5. It's pretty bad, average at best. I find it difficult to finish an episode because it doesn't fit in with Star Wars. If you know anything about the Star Wars history, then it's hard to like the Disney stuff because it breaks the story continuity and makes the original film full of new plot holes that you must play mental gymnastics to find an explanation for. I like Star Wars less because of the Disney editions, and I'm not going to apologize. I paid my money, I get to say my piece. Silencing an audience makes you look guilty, Disney. Don't like what we have to say? Tough. Do better and stop expecting us to like your subpar Star Wars. It's like you took up the challenge of making Star Wars worse and worse. Well, you succeeded. It's a chore to be a Star Wars fan these days. You can't get the original films in high def, the shows are garbage, and if you say anything, you're a racist. This sucks. I'm done. So folks, what do you think of this whole situation? Are you surprised? I'm not. Like I said, it's nothing new, and I pulled up research to show you that this is from the Star Wars Playbook, Chapter 5, page 89. Get yourselves a copy. You can find it everywhere reputable bullshit books are sold. But if you really want a good reputable book, make sure you check out Wokebusters. Go to wokebusterscomic.com right now to grab yourselves a copy. It's the comic that parodies what it's like to be alive in 2022, all wrapped up in a Ghostbusters-style package. So if you like comedy, if you love 80s classics like the John Landis films, Blues Brothers, Spies Like Us, Ivan Reitman's work like Ghostbusters, then you're gonna love Wokebusters because it reads like that. It's non-stop insanity, action, comedy, and it's only available from me. The book is over 50 pages, perfect bound, full color, high gloss, beautifully printed, and guess what? On its way to you. So go over to wokebusterscomic.com right now, grab yourselves a copy, and do your part to get rid of all this garbage entertainment in the world. But folks, I'm gonna follow this story. It's very interesting to see how these things are cyclical. It'll be interesting to see how the show plays out. There's talk, there's news, there's rumors that there's a second season coming. I don't think that's going to be good, because if the people that are making this rumor up to make the show look like it has more interest, and then the show doesn't get a second season, well, that just makes them look like assholes. You know, for all those people out there that like to make up Star Wars rumors to tear it down, also the people that like to build it up with your fake rumors, you hurt Star Wars as well. Because until I see from Lucasfilm that there's a second season of Obi-Wan coming, well, there's only 3 episodes left, and this show doesn't have time to fix itself. Well, I hope it does. I pray it does. But, well, based on previous examples, I'm not holding my breath, because if I was, I'd be